I think one of my favorite stories that's also about me and about people and about travel, and I guess a little bit about just kind of the world that we live in, is that I think we live in. It's about this time my family and I went to Italy. I'm part Italian, I'm half Italian, half Polish. And on my mother's side, I'm Italian. And I guess I'm third generation, she's second generation. I don't know any Italian, but we are Italian. And that's a weird thing to think about. It's especially weird when you like travel back and you go to Italy and you're with your family and you don't know the language, but yet it's like a part of your heritage and culture in some way. It's this interesting part of like being connected to something and disconnected at the same time. But while we were there, and our purpose for really being there was because my mom had always wanted to go back to Italy and see kind of where we came from. And we had a chance to do that with not just my mom and my sister and I, but also some of our extended family. And we had to travel to Rome, and then we went to the Amalfi Coast and had a great time and had a blast. But we were really going to Bari, which is on the east coast, I guess, of Italy. And my mom had saved these letters from her grandfather and great-grandfather, where they were writing back home to their Italian relatives and talking about being in the United States and what was going on with their family and all sorts of different things. And she had saved these letters like throughout time. Like whenever my grandfather died and he moved out of his house, she like saved these letters for some reason. I don't know why, but I'm really glad that she did, because I guess she imagined that one day she would use them and eventually find our family in Italy, because we didn't really know exactly if they were there or where they would be. We just kind of knew the general area, which was Bari. And so we got to Bari, and we happened to know some people that were living in downtown, and one was a lawyer and another one was like a friend of hers, and we met them for dinner. And I didn't notice at the time, but my mom had like smuggled these letters into her purse and brought them with her at a dinner. And her intent was really to ask these locals to translate these letters and documents for her, and to kind of see if she can get some more basic information. And one of them ended up being a lawyer, and knowing exactly what one of the documents was, it was actually a deed of sale for a house. And so the lawyer said to my mom, there's an address here. You can just look up this address on your phone and you could probably just go there. And we were all at dinner. There's maybe like 12 of us, and we all kind of just looked at each other like, okay, this just got kind of like serious now. Like this was like, oh, fun. Like we'll see where we came from. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, like maybe we can see where we came from. And then it got a little bit more than that, because the next day we did do that. We typed it into a GPS. We started driving, and we got there, and all of a sudden like these like feelings came through all of us in the car and my whole family of like just belonging in some way. Like it got kind of like, it was fun at first, and then it got to be like, oh man, this is like really moving. And we had this address, and we didn't know how to navigate that little village where they were. I say village, but it was actually kind of a nice, beautiful little town. And so our goal was, let's take this address and we'll kind of just scan the street, and we'll split up, and we'll eventually, if we find it, we'll find this mailbox that had my mother's maiden name on it, was Pecci. We'll find Pecci on the side of a mailbox somewhere, and that'll be where we came from. And so we did that, and we all split up, and I was on my own, and it was kind of just going through the streets, and it was beautiful. It was like a great day. And all of a sudden I hear my uncle just from like a few blocks over just go, I found it. And we were like, what is that? And it was like the house. It was like my family's house, and it had Pesci in the mailbox, and we all kind of gathered at one time, and we're like, they had this like really they had this like lace on the outside of their house, their door. They didn't have a door; it was like open, the lace on it. And so it's like, they could probably just see us like standing there, but we all looked at each other like, do we go in? Do we like knock on the door? Like, what do we do? And so we did. And they were home. And they stepped out of the door, and just like, I just like saw them for the first time, and they just looked exactly like my grandmother. And I was just went, wow. It was like one of those things where just like like my world and a totally strange but not strange one at the same time just like collided. And we all looked at each other and just kind of started to cry, because we had no idea we'd actually find them. Like, we always like hoped that we would. But to like knock on a stranger's door one day and to meet somebody who you hoped would be there and they were there was pretty amazing thing. And of course, like, they had no clue who we were at first. They were like, okay, hello. And so we can't speak any Italian, so like my mom just like talking into her phone to like Google Translate, like, hi, like, we're from the United States, and you know, my grandfather was this person, etc. And it's like going through, and she like holds it up to him, and he reads it, and he's just like, huh. And then she started kind of just like name dropping people, and then he read that, and then I just saw his face just go like, woof, just like, whoa. And then his wife came out, and it was one of those things where like he was like blown away, and then it became this like celebration, because he just like didn't know what to do, but immediately knew what to do, because he was like, okay, we have to celebrate. We have to like get the chairs out. We have to like do lunch. We have to drink wine. We have to tell the neighbors. And so that's what happened. He started doing that. And before you know it, like, people were out looking out their windows, like, what the heck's going on downstairs? And like, they saw us, and then everybody started to join us, and he started to tell them what was going on. And we kind of just like took over the street, and we're speaking broken like English and Italian to each other. And we finally had somebody who come down and could translate for us. And we just like had this moment together where we just like we'd always been related to each other, but never knew about it except for that time on the street. And it was just like beautiful, you know. And he talked about to us, you know, our family that stayed while we were in the United States, and they had always wondered about us. And that was just like so moving to me, that we got a chance to finally realize each other. And it was a great day. It was one of those things where you kind of just knew like that was meant to happen. You know, it felt like something that kind of came alive and super special. And it's like the reason why we should travel in a way. We should go searching for things like that, and we should be saving items that we have because we think we might use them someday, like that, like my mom did with those letters, because it could lead us to something spectacular. And I got a tattoo on my arm. It just says, you know, be brave, you know, in Italian, because I think about not the people that we met that day and my relatives that we met that day, or even my immediate family there, but I think about the ones that left home and moved to the United States at the time and knew no one or nothing and didn't know what to do. And they left these people there, you know, and just kind of went into the unknown. And then I kind of brought that back to myself and my family that day. And we did go into the unknown, and something beautiful came out of it. So